Q broadcast, it's taking the world by storm. People are cutting the cord to their high cable bills and moving away from streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, and others for something better. Q broadcast. For just $60 a month, you'll get access to every channel you could ever want, including HBO, Cinemax, and Stars. And the best part? There are no contracts, no hidden fees, and you're free to cancel anytime. With Q Broadcast, you can enjoy streaming live TV, movies, and top series on up to 5 devices at once. Whether you're at home or on the go, Q Broadcast makes sure your entertainment is always at your fingertips. Imagine being able to watch all your favorite channels from anywhere, anytime, without any restrictions. We're talking about thousands of movies, hundreds of TV series, and a huge library of live channels, all in one place. And don't forget video on demand and pay-per-view events. Those are included at no extra cost, so you'll never miss a big event again. Now, take a second and think about your current cable bill. You're probably paying anywhere between $100 and $300 every month, locked into long-term contracts and hit with surprise rate increases. With Q Broadcast, that's a thing of the past. It's just $60 a month. No contracts, no extra fees, no hidden costs, and no price hikes. Why juggle multiple subscriptions like Netflix, Hulu, and cable when Q Broadcast gives you everything you need in one convenient package? People everywhere are switching to Q Broadcast, saving money and getting more content than ever before. So, what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description and sign up for Q Broadcast today. Just $60 a month, no contracts, no hidden fees. It's time to take control of your entertainment and start streaming smarter.
We live in a world where men are told it's harmless. It's just entertainment. But let's stop lying to ourselves. Pornography destroys. It weakens your spirit. It dulls your drive. And it robs you of what real intimacy is supposed to be. Every click is a step away from the man you're supposed to be. We can't call ourselves leaders if we are slaves to a screen.
As someone that is prior service, I know all about discipline. And discipline isn't out there, it's within your mind. Porn rewires your brain, weakens your will, wrecks all of your relationships. It doesn't just stay on a screen, it invades your marriage, your confidence, and your actual purpose. As men, if we don't learn to discipline ourselves, we'll be ruled by our impulses. Now, it is time to stand up and take control before this silent war takes more than you're willing to lose.
Real men don't hide in the shadows of shame. We step up and we protect what's ours. We fight for our wives and kids, our own hearts. Twitter isn't just an app, it's a weapon. It's a tool used to break free and start living like the man that you're meant to be. The battle's here and it starts with you. You can stop living in shame and you can break free today.
You know something is wrong, and it's time to stand up. You are listening to The John Age Show.
Trust no one. Trust no one. Trust no one.
You found it. You're here. You're headlong down the runaway train that is the Anomic Age. I'm your host, John Age. Happy to be back with you once again in the not-so-wee hours of the PM. Please check out anomicage.com if you've not already done so. Like all the likes, subscribe to all the subscriptions, share those links, friends, family, loved ones, and enemies. We got paypal.me/anomicage and patreon.com/anomicage is there at the top. So if you are so inclined, if you like what you're hearing, the content from the guest and so forth, please feel free to make a donation or become a patron. We got the free iPhone app, free Android app. Subscribe by email newsletter. What else we got? That's about it. We also got the information breakdown segments there. So if you're driving and a whole full hour episode's a little too much for you, you can get those 30-minute segments. I do those several times a week covering a variety of topics. But nevertheless, we got a great guest for you today. We got none other than Reverend Bill Bean. Bill Bean is a world-renowned exorcist, spiritual deliverance minister, and is known as the spiritual warrior. He's also an internationally known author, lecturer, and paranormal expert. Bill has helped hundreds of people in America, as well as several other nations. Bill's spiritual warfare deliverance ministry addresses anything from curses, blocks, attachments, obsessions, oppressions, and the supernatural and demonic. If you're looking on your screen there, you're looking at BillBeanWarrior.com. That's the link there for Bill's main site, BillBeanWarrior.com. That's what you're seeing on your screen there, folks. Thank you so much, Bill, for being with us today, sir.
Thank you, Brother John. Thank you for having me back. It's always a pleasure to be on with you.
It is, man. It's so fun. Just talking to you is fun. Talking to you before the show is just a blast also. So thank you, sir.
Well, we always have a lot to say. It's just amazing. I mean, we have so much going on in our world that's coming at us from all different directions. And it's the content is endless, and this is all for a reason, because this is all coming to a head. Now, in my opinion, God didn't tell me this. I'd be a liar if I said that he did, although I have prayed about it, and I believe that he has given me confirmation to my prayer, not speaking to me in his voice, but giving me a feeling of confirmation that, A, we are in the last days, and B, this is a great and terrible day is coming, and it's coming sooner than later. And this has been a plan that was put together probably hundreds, maybe even a couple thousand years ago from the devil to unfold this to where we are right now. So in my opinion, John, I feel that the devil, Satan, Hasatan, Belial, Lucifer, whatever you want to call him, he mimics everything that Yahweh does and puts a vulgar twist on it. So he too has a kingdom, a lowly satanic kingdom. And in that kingdom, I believe that he's using reptilian aliens to give his directive to that goes to the power elite on this earth. And they give the directive to the power elite through these reptilians, the devil is giving the game plan, and these people better comply or they're not going to be in their positions of power anymore. They won't have wealth anymore, and they might not even have a life anymore. And so all the world seems to be complying in this wickedness, especially America, most especially America. And we see now some of the most wicked, heinous, vile filth that you can imagine taking place on a regular basis in America. And it is a complete and utter destruction that is taking place. And it is, in my opinion, we're seeing America and the world dying on a daily basis. And part of that, John, this culture, counterculture, whatever you want to call it, that has been established by the devil through those reptilians, through the power elite. It always goes back to Isaiah 5:20. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil. And that's what we're living right now. So if we stand up for good and right, we will be vilified. The world will hate us. Even family members friends. You'll lose both, and I have. And I'm sorry to say that because I love everybody, but I cannot and I will not compromise in this to embrace evil and wickedness just for the sake of pleasing somebody, just so someone will love me or like me. I'm sorry, I can't do that because my commitment to God is number one. My wife and I make God first in our lives, and that's all there is to it. We love people, try to do everything that we can for people, but when it comes to participating in what I see as wickedness, I cannot and will not do it. And it's so sad, John, because most of the, and I don't want to say all of the world because not everybody is, but a large populace of the people, especially in America, are under this spell, under this brainwash, and people like you and I, praise God, we could be outside of that and see it for what it is, but those people can't. They just can't. And if some of these people were watching us right now, they would call us crazy men or call me a crazy man for saying what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think it might have been an old Ramones song, something to the effect that ignorance is bliss, you know, an obvious quote from the past. But I think so much of that is so true. Like, if we were just ignorant to it, we'd be one of these sheep too. But it's not real
Correct.
bliss. It's just sort of that surface level God of this world bliss. I think when we actually see the multiple layers of deception and we see it for what it is, it's that whole they live, you know, put the glasses on. We put the
Correct.
glasses on and you're like, you know, I kind of
And
liken it to Moses coming down from the mountain. There you have that hairs shot out and your eyes are big as saucers.
That's right. And we are immersed in that right now. So this society promotes everything that is wrong and evil and wicked, and again vilifies men like us that stand up for right and truth and the order of God. I know everybody has free will. Yahweh created us with free will, so we're free to make our choices. However, this is why the devil was reassigned in the role that he's in as the adversary to mankind. He originally was the choir director in heaven for Yahweh. He held a very high position and was privy to a lot of the ways and secrets of Yahweh. But when he was reassigned, cast out and reassigned in this role as the adversary to mankind, that was because Yahweh gave us free will. So that's a good thing, and it can be a bad thing. So if we make bad choices, then the devil will be right there and will send demons in to aid and abet in whatever bad choice was made, and he will amplify and magnify that because the agenda is to kill, rob, and destroy. So with that said, when you think about today's generation and how things are going in America, it is the spirit of rebellion. It is the spirit of selfishness. People do not care. You could drop dead in front of some of these people and they'd walk right over you. They don't care. It's about them. And so when we see these types of things, we see that the devil's fingerprints are all over this. This is right out of his playbook. And these people have bought the lie, hook, line, and sinker. And it is so sad and so tragic to see this. It's just absolutely mind-boggling. But the good news for me is, and should be for all of us, is that there is hope. And the only way out of this is to have a real authentic relationship with God. Then he will send his son, Yahshua Jesus the Christ, into your life to guide you on that straight and narrow path back to him. And even then, your life won't be perfect because of being in this sin-filled, fallen world. But if we are committed to God, then therefore we're committed to excellence. And if we're committed to excellence, then we should refuse to lose. I declare victory in each and every day of my life, and will do so for the rest of my life, because if God is with me and for me, then nothing is going to stand against me. But it can be a very lonely road at times when people turn on you, and it's especially if it's somebody close to you, you know, family members or friends or whatever. That's very hurtful, and it's a tough thing to endure. but we must endure, because I could guarantee you this, and I'm seeing this, and I thank God and praise God for working through me to help people to be free from this evil that they're under, and that comes in a variety of ways. But I can assure you of this: if you are really keeping God first and you develop a real authentic relationship with him and you have Jesus in your life won't become perfect, but your life will become so incredibly blessed. I once had a life that was so bad that I was seeking death, and now I have a life that's so blessed that I wouldn't trade my life with anybody's life on this planet, and that's what God does.
Man, that's so powerful. And so much of our society has just become so polarized now. And I don't know if I'm just an old man at this point, but I'll look back, growing up even like 20, 30 years ago, if you just took like a snapshot of society, you wouldn't see this polarization. There was the right, there was the left, there was Christians, there was all these different groups, but everybody was still sort of coalesced. It wasn't this sort of shrieking, invasion of the body snatchers, heretic. You don't believe the orthodoxy of the cult of academia or the cult of Satan or whatever they masquerade this mess is. But it's so polarizing today. I won't name names here, but a friend of mine was in town a couple weeks ago. We were talking to people we used to see and hang out with, and a name was like, oh, what about so-and-so? And, well, one of our other friends doesn't want to talk about them anymore because they dared to post a Jordan Peterson post on social media. And I was thinking, like, hey, these are people we grew up for 20, 30 years together, and now it's you've canceled somebody from your life because of a post. Like, it's just so comical on the one hand, but on the other, it's just sad, and just that divisive nature of the
parents
darkness.
and children, John. I've seen it between parents and children, that these types of things have come in between. And so again, who's the author of confusion and division? The devil. He's loving every second of this. It's right out of his playbook. And a large influence on the populace. And I've had a timeline. I've kept a timeline since I would probably say 1956, with Bill Haley and the Comets, when this invasion of rock and roll began. And invasion is a good word because it was designed to divide the family. So when rock and roll, and look, I am a musician. I used to play in rock bands and all that kind of stuff. I'm so thankful to God that once I submitted before him and really made him first in my life, then I was convicted in my spirit and shown the error of my ways, that I could no longer play that music and be a part of that culture and lifestyle, because it is absolutely against God. It is blasphemous. It is giving open praise to the devil. And for those of you who don't believe this, go research some lyrics, your favorite songs, punch them up, and you'll be shocked to see that I guarantee you, in most of the songs of yesterday, back in the 60s and 70s, even in the 50s, Bill Haley and the Comets, Rock Around the Clock, how you say, oh, what was wrong with that? That created a spirit of rebellion. Kids were rioting at Bill Haley concerts. They were tearing the halls apart, breaking chairs apart. Go read, it's all there. The information's there. So that started the spirit of rebellion. Little Richard came along, Jerry Lee Lewis, more spirit of rebellion, and homosexuality as well. And Elvis came along, and very sexually suggestive. And that created a spirit of rebellion, a spirit of lust. And then the Beatles came along. And once the Beatles came along, the other bands followed in the British invasion, and that's exactly what it was. And this was to hammer it home to get the kids separated from their parents, and then introduce drugs into the culture as well. And man, that really, once that took place, that really divided the children from the parents. And we are where we are today as a society because of those things that were implemented back then. It's been a steady downward spiral ever since.
And so much of these pieces of puzzle you're putting together, the general public now just sees as normal. That's what's so blasphemous about it all is,
Yeah.
I mean, I often hear people talk about adolescence. Oh, that's going to be terrible. Oh, you expect this, that, the other. And I'm like, and I can't help but wonder if so much of that is not predicated to what you just said, the breakdown of the family, which is, benchmark rock and roll. I mean, I love the music just as much as everybody else does, but I mean, yeah, I got to say that might be a key point there, because that's when you said, oh, we're going to go to this rock show. Oh, we're going to try beer. We're going to try some alcohol. We're going to smoke some weed. And before you know it, flash forward, it's 1970. Flash forward, it's 1980. And we've just incrementally adopted this culture, which is a counterculture, as the normal culture, if that,
Correct.
If I'm making
and
sense.
It's all by design, John. It was designed to separate the children from the parents. And even artists like Jimi Hendrix, George Harrison of the Beatles, and others, I could think of 5 or 6 off the top of my head right now, were quoted as saying that when these young people came to their concerts, and certainly if they were under the influence, they could put them in like a hypnotic state to program them and put their message in. Daryl Hall, Hall & Oates, was quoted as saying that he comes from a family of ministers, but he idolized Aleister Crowley, and he wanted to be Aleister Crowley, not the ministers in his family. Therefore, he became a preacher, in his own words. He became a preacher and is still a preacher on a stage, preaching a different message to his audiences. And it's a message of evil and rebellion and sin to these people. So some would say, oh, you're crazy. Hall & Oates, they're a pop duo. Okay, well, you read some of their lyrics and read some of the background about Daryl Hall, and you will absolutely see them telling the truth. And what did Jesus say? The truth will set you free. So when you're emotionally invested in someone or something, when you become that emotionally invested, you can't see it. You cannot see it. And when you try to give somebody the truth, you become their enemy. And this happens to me, and it's happened to me quite a bit with family members, with friends. They don't want to hear it because they're so emotionally invested. You could give them the truth in 50 different ways, and they don't want it. And Jesus himself said, you will believe anybody. You'll follow along with anybody except for me, because you don't want the truth. You'll follow it along with anything that makes you feel good or you're comfortable in following along with, but you won't follow me because you're not going to follow the truth.
Man, I'm intrigued, man, because I'd be right there with most of the audience on that one, to look at Hall & Oates and say, man, that's like this innocuous, late 70s, 80s pop duo.
Yeah.
Like, what the? You got any more on Daryl Hall? Because I'm super intrigued about this now.
Garth Brooks is another one. He just
Yeah,
came
that's
out.
a definite
Now,
one.
I've known about Garth Brooks for a long time. He's a Mason, and he's also quoted as saying that he got the spirit of rock and roll early from Queen and Kiss and all these bands, and that's what he wanted to be. And he ended up being this mega country star. But good old Garth also came out and said that he will proudly serve Bud Light in his honky-tonk, and anybody that's got a problem with that can go to a different honky-tonk down the street. So these people tell you who they are, but unfortunately, the fans are so invested emotionally in them, they could say anything, and those people would still love them. Gene Simmons of Kiss, Knights in Satan's Service. And if I'm wrong about that, well, how come he dresses like the devil, spits blood, breathes fire, sings songs like God of Thunder, will rob you of your very virgin soul? I could go on and on and on, but Gene Simmons, Haim Whites, that's his real name, was quoted as saying that they had such power over their audiences that if he gave the order to kill from the stage, the audience would start killing because they had that much power over those people. Now, that's a quote.
That's dark.
I could go on and on and on. These people are ministers of a satanic gospel. That's just all there is to it. And if we Fast forward to today's entertainers, Jay-Z, Beyonce, Rihanna, Johnny Depp, all these, they tell you who they are. Jesus said you'll know them by their fruits. I'm not putting these people down. They tell you who they are. They are openly telling you who they are and who they serve. Yet the people can't get enough of them. I saw and recently heard this. I was at a family gathering recently, and I had to bite my tongue. Literally, you wouldn't believe it. There was someone that said something about a family member consecutive nights attending a Taylor Swift concert and a Lizzo concert, and I was chomping down. I did say, well, they're 2 for 2, and I shut up after that, but I wanted so bad to let this person know, but it wouldn't matter. I could say it all day long. These people are brainwashed. So you could say all day long the truth. They're going to continue to worship these people and support them, even though these performers and entertainers are openly wicked and they are promoting a satanic agenda. The populace cannot get enough of them.
And so much of this is so just in your face. Is there more names like Hall & Oates that we're missing there? Because I'm really intrigued by that one. I had no idea Daryl Hall, and I'm not doubting you for a minute. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the deal. Most people just don't know some of this stuff.
And you could research that on Daryl Hall. I think one of the interviews that he did was in Rolling Stone magazine. I think that's where I got some of the quotes. And also Pastor Joe Schimmel did that series on They Sold Their Souls for Rock and Roll. And I watched a lot of that, and I'm in absolute agreement with him. Schimmel was also immersed in the rock and roll lifestyle and was actually a Satanist at one point, and then had his own disaster, which brought him to coming back to Yahweh and accepting Jesus. And I'm in complete agreement with Schimmel. And there's another pastor named G. Craig Lewis. He is always outing the rappers and the hip hop culture and all that. And so these men are good men of God, and what they're saying is absolutely true. I have followed along with what they have been putting out there, and I'm in complete agreement with them. The list of names are endless, John. So whether it's Hall & Oates or any of these people, let's say a band like Fleetwood Mac, that's a band, again, that is pop rock, adult contemporary, a band that is one of the most well-known bands, ever. And you have the witchcraft aspect in there as well with Stevie Nicks and others that are openly practicing this and saying that they're the band The Eagles, another one, a super popular band, one of the most popular, biggest bands of all time. They were into Satanism as well. Card-carrying members of the Church of Satan. You can research it. It's all there. So I could go down the list. Here's another example. Good old Dolly Parton. She's pushing 80 years old, okay? She was recently inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Why? But anyway, she comes out with an album the next week called Rockstar. So the picture, there's a couple pictures of Dolly. One, she's got a monarch butterfly, a leather monarch butterfly eye thing over her eye. So it's the one eye symbolism. And then in another photo, she has a leather star over top of her eye like that. So Dolly also had a whole host of satanic performers performing on this album, Rockstar, and the performers were playing their satanic songs on her album, and she joined in on vocals with these satanic performers. Rob Halford of Judas Priest. There was, Led Zeppelin, Dave Grohl, I think, Miley Cyrus. which is the goddaughter of Dolly Parton, a whole host of these openly wicked and satanic performers. So again, Jesus said, you'll know them by their fruits. And so I don't have to condemn these people. I'm just pointing out they're condemning themselves by what they're doing. And it is what it is. Steven Tyler. There was a clip of Steven Tyler saying to Howard Stern, what do you think it'll be like in hell when we get there, Howard? And all this kind. I mean, these people know who they are. They are preachers of darkness. And Steven Tyler is being sued right now because he took a young girl, and this was years ago, back in the 70s. He and Ted Nugent's guilty of this as well, and others. They got young girls, 14, 15 years old, got the parents to sign over legal guardianship to them. I'm sure they paid quite a bit of money to the parents for that, just like Michael Jackson did. And so then they now take these kids on the road with them, have sex with them, do anything that they want to do with them, pass them around to their friends or bandmates or whatever it may be. This is the lifestyle that these people live and lead, John. Now, I'm not making this up. And again, I'm not condemning anybody. They condemn themselves. I'm speaking truth. This is what it is. This entire culture has been rotten from the beginning and has just continued to get worse and worse and worse, to the point now to where you have people that are trying to normalize and legalize pedophilia, bestiality, and anything and everything under the sun. You have drag queens that could go and take little kids and totally get naked in front of them, and there's no problem with that. Nobody's doing anything to stop it. This happened, one in Florida, and the so-called Governor DeSantis that's running for president said he's going to look into it. Well, I guess he looked into it and nothing happened because nobody was arrested. So, the devil has the market cornered, John, whether it is religion, because most of religion, Christianity is corrupt now, I'm sorry to say. Politics, forget that. They're not. So politics is like professional wrestling.
Exactly.
They pit a good guy against a bad guy. In reality, they're all bad guys. There's not one politician, not one, that I would follow or support or endorse ever, never. And so I know who these people are, and they know who they are, and more importantly, God knows who they are, and their time is coming, believe me. So corporations, you have two gigantic corporations, and most people don't know this. There are two gigantic corporations on the earth that own most of all the other corporations, Vanguard and BlackRock. Look into that. They own everything. And so the devil, entertainment, sports, the devil has the market cornered in everything. The Los Angeles Dodgers just had these drag queens out there, called themselves nuns, dressed up as nuns. They had a thing at Dodger Stadium to where this guy was on the cross imitating Jesus, and then had another, whatever you want to call it, drag queen, transsexual, whatever you want to call it, doing sexually suggestive things to this individual who was posing as Jesus on the cross, slithering across him like a snake, all these things. And the Los Angeles Dodgers brought this into their ballpark and into their franchise and network. And so all these other things, they'll follow suit. All these corporations that have gone woke and they're promoting all this stuff too. John, I think they're doing it because they have to do it. You're not going to tell me for 1 second that a company that engages in something like this, and they've lost billions and billions of dollars. You think in the beginning that you'd have some type of brainstorm strategy saying, okay, is this going to be good for the company? Are we going to make money from this? No, they've lost billions of dollars, but it doesn't matter because they are under the rule of this beast system, and therefore they will have to do these things. And let's go back to the music aspect as well. Now think about this. You have 80-plus-year-old people that are out on stage still performing. They are mega millionaires and in some instances billionaires. And they are still, why is that? Well, I believe the reason it is because they've made their contract with the devil and they will hold their end up even if they drop dead on that stage, and some of them have, and some of them will continue to do so. But you're not telling me for 1 second a band like the Rolling Stones, Mick Jagger now 81, 82, whatever he is, and openly satanic. All you have to do, and for you people that might hate me because I'm talking about the Rolling Stones, go read their lyrics, look at their album covers, and you will see they have one called Their Satanic Majesty's Request, another one, Goat's Head Soup. It's all there, okay? Their song, Sympathy for the Devil, was the theme song for the Church of Satan. So it's all there. And Jimmy Page played the guitar, the lead part, on that track, Sympathy for the Devil. And so these people are all tied together. The Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin, all these groups are tied together, and they're in this thing together. They know what they're doing. They know what they have done. And this goes for the entertainment and Hollywood as well. These people know what they have done in order to get their spot and to make millions and millions and have this power and influence and to have this worship from their adoring fans. They know what they've had to do, John, and this is why most of these people are drug addicts and alcoholics, because they cannot cope with the things that they've had to do, including, in my opinion, ritual sacrifice, authorization of ritual sacrifice, eating of feces, eating of flesh. This might sound like crazy talk, but I assure you, if you pray first and ask God to lead you to the truth, he will, but be prepared. When you dig into these things like I have, it's very, very disturbing, and these are dark roads, and I wouldn't recommend it. But if you want to know the truth, then seek the truth, and you'll know the truth, so you can speak the truth, so you can teach the truth. Because there's no substitute for the truth. The truth is the truth, and it will set you free.
And it's so telling, I think, that our culture is so willing to cancel anybody predicated on a tweet. You wrote a letter 50 years ago and used the wrong word. Well, you got to never hear from you again. You're just filth. Let's just sweep you beyond the pale here. But, I mean, you mentioned Steven Tyler. As well, I'm blanking on the cat scratch fever guy.
Oh, Ted Nugent.
Thank you, Ted Nugent. Yeah.
Yeah.
As being two of the obvious ones, but I mean, if you look into this stuff, you'll see that it's just strewn throughout the annals of rock and roll, going back from its inception to today. I mean, it was sort of like glamorized as the groupie activity of the 1970s. This debauchery that was going on, and let me underscore what you said, which is 100% fact. We're talking underage girls here. We're talking grown men bought these children from parents to marry them, and Lord knows what else is going on.
No, they never even married them, John. They never married them. They basically made them sex slaves. And, and the one girl was pregnant with Steven Tyler's baby, and he made her have an abortion. There's another girl, I think her name was Pamela DeBars. She was 15 years old, and she was with Jimmy Page. And Jimmy Page and a whole host of other rock stars, she was passed around to Mick Jagger and all of them.
Yeah.
And so I could go on and on and on with naming these names and these people. They know what they've done, and they know what they continue to do. And, someone like, if you go to present day, that wicked individual, that R. Kelly, having those sex slaves like that. And you think he's the only one? Give me a break. These people are all connected. Mel Gibson is supposedly getting ready to come out with this 4-part series about the pedophilia in Hollywood, the big names he's supposedly going to name. I pray for Mel Gibson, because if Mel Gibson is on the up and up, because I'm not completely convinced of that, because they put these disinformation agents out there. It's called controlled opposition. I hope Mel Gibson is sincere. And if he is sincere, then I pray for his safety. And he better have bodyguards around him 24/7, because they are going to try and take him out before this thing ever comes out. I'll guarantee you that. Because those names do not want to be named. And they are big names, just like Jeffrey Epstein, connected with all these power elite, all of them. I don't care who you say wasn't there. They were there. There's a list of those names, and the courts and the power elite obviously are keeping that under wraps. You're not going to see these names. If you did, you'd be shocked at some of the names that are on there that have been willing participants in the rape and torture and even murder of women and children. And this continues to go on worldwide. The biggest names in the world are involved in this. This goes to the highest places on the earth, including churches. This is something that is so enormous. I just saw a number the other day that was staggering to me, because I've often said that 2,000 people a day go missing in America. Well, if the number that I saw the other day is true, now the number is 800,000 children a year. Children, just children, in America are going missing. Nearly 1 million children a year are going. Where are these people going? Well, I can tell you where some of them are going. I don't want to tell you, but this is wickedness in the highest and lowest order. And I pray that God will come back and send Jesus back in here soon to eradicate this and to absolutely rid the earth of every one of these evil scumbags that are doing what they're doing.
And it's just so disgusting. I swear, I'm trying not to think about this too much, but it's just so sick that you've had this going on for decades, and vastly we've known about it, you know?
This goes all the way back to Egypt. So when Solomon became a sorcerer, there are black magicians or people that are into Satanism that still use some of the summonings of Solomon. He was summoning demons and getting them, bidding them to do his bidding and his work. And so Solomon obviously got this probably from one of his wives that was probably from Egypt, because this goes back to Egypt. And so Solomon became a sorcerer. And these people, like Madame Blavatsky and Aleister Crowley, Rasputin, and all these different types of satanic historical figures, took these teachings. And for Crowley, he boldly proclaimed that he was the wickedest man on the face of the earth. He certainly engaged in these practices that I just talked about and other things. And in one of his books, he talked about how the killing of a child, and this is so disturbing to talk about, and it pains me to talk about it, but a child has a divine covering and innocence from newborn to age 3. After age 3, the world starts to wear on them, and they become a part of the world. So their divine innocence has rubbed off, has worn off. But from newborn to 3, they're divine, like angelic divine. And so these Satanists know this, and Crowley talked about killing such children, especially a male child, and then eating that child, and then getting great power from doing so. And again, it pains me to even say what I'm saying, but it's absolutely true, and this is what he said, and this is what he stated. And there are others, many others, that follow along with this philosophy, and they're doing it to current time now. And I pray that Yahweh is going to have enough of this soon, and the earth is going to be rid of these wicked ones.
And if I'm not mistaken, Crowley was doing some pretty unspeakable stuff to his own son, which I would sort of argue might parallel a lot of the deaths of these celebrities' children that we've seen over the last 50 some odd years.
Absolutely correct. And Aleister Crowley also has a very strong connection, started with the Beatles, and it is rumored, and I've done a lot of study into this, John, that the real Paul McCartney died in 1966, and faux Paul came along. William Shepard, they call him Billy Shears. And I've read 2 of Billy's books. And boy, oh boy, after reading those books, I believed it anyway, but after reading those books, it was like confirmation to me. But he, according to him, he's related to Aleister Crowley, and he was taught personally as a child by Aleister Crowley. So he's been a black magician, is still a black magician. He's in his 80s. And this is another thing, John, this is the popular thing now, and if you've noticed this, all these celebrities, all of a sudden, Martha Stewart, she's in her 80s, Dolly Parton, all these stars, they're saying, oh my goodness, look, they found the fountain of youth. They look so young. They're good. You know what they're really doing? And again, don't take my word for it. Do the research on these people. They are getting transfusions of blood, and not just any blood from babies and children that have given them the fountain of youth. Now, some of these people drink this stuff. It's called adrenochrome. It's the most powerful drug on planet Earth and the most expensive as well. And unfortunately, the only way that you can harvest this is to put someone, especially a child, through such torture that blood and secretions will come out through the pineal and adrenal glands, and that's how it's harvested. And demons are attracted to it as well. They love it. It's a drug to them too. And so this is harvested, and it's either, these people are either taking droplets and putting under the tongue, or they're now having the transfusions of it. And that's why all of a sudden everybody's found the fountain of youth, and you have 80-year-old Martha Stewart going topless, and all these people. It's just mind-boggling, but it's in plain sight. But the populace is so emotionally invested in these people, they could do or say anything, and the people will still support them.
And that's the thing. I believe it's this emotional investment, and it's sort of a placeholder where we should have this emotional, spiritual investment with Christ. They've
Correct.
supplanted that with Satan, and through these various obfuscations, just sort of different incarnations of Satan via the movies, the music, the television, and so forth. So we've supplanted that emotional, spiritual connection with Christ with these cult of celebrity folks. I mean, just to your point, Sandra Bullock, I mean, this is a pretty famous
Same thing.
clip where I think she was on Ellen being questioned
right.
about some of her
Good
treatments
old
for
Ellen.
beauty.
That's right. And that was foreskins.
Yes.
Blood and foreskins from little babies. Mm-hmm. And good old Ellen, all you have to do is research her as well. These people are wicked to the core. So this is why the scripture says you cannot be in the world and a lover of the world. A friend of the world is an enemy to God. That's why the scriptures say that, because the world is the devil. He is in control of the world right now. So if you are given over to the world, and there's Christians that claim to be Christians, they got one foot in the world and think that they're justified because the Apostle Paul told them that they're saved under grace and they can do anything they want to do. And Jesus took all the sins of the world away, therefore they can do anything. And they are in that lie, and they continue to be in that lie, and you can't tell them anything. If you try to give them truth, they will hate you for it. But the scripture plainly states, a friend of the world is an enemy to God. So do not be in the world and make the world. So when you're immersed in the world becomes your God. Mm-hmm. And Yahweh will not share his glory with another. Period. End of story. And so it's very clear. I could give you several scriptures that talk about that. And I know that we have to be in the world. We're born into this world, but we cannot be absorbed by the world and celebrate the wickedness of the world, because that is going to invoke the anger and wrath of God.
And just to connect dots here, I would say Satan would be the first rock star, the first countercultural entity, he brought
Back
his
up,
minions,
John.
and that's the counterculture, counter
Back
to
up
God.
right there. The symbol of the star. Yes, that's him. The star. The star. Selfish. Stand alone. It's all about me. The star. There you go. You're absolutely right. So he's the original star. Why do you think Hollywood's got all the stars there, and then they have the Molochs, the statues of a false god that they give out, to these people? That's their god. Good old Kathy Griffin told Jesus to suck it. This is her god. He didn't do anything to help her to get that award. These people let you know who they are. I don't have to say a word. They're telling you who they are. And again, for those of you out there, I love people, but I'm telling you the truth. And you can research this for yourself. It's in their own words. So how in the world can you support somebody like this? Because they are an enemy to God.
And I can't help but also notice, I would say early on in rock and roll history, but we're seeing that still today, where there's this bizarre duality, this sort of connection between sons, especially that were the sons of pastors, sort of coming into this rock and roll. I mean, if you look at Jerry Lee Lewis and his connections with, I think, Mickey Gilley and Jimmy Swaggart, if I'm not mistaken. Little Richard. I think you mentioned Alice Cooper, and on and on and on. There's this weird duality.
Alice Cooper, Vincent Fournier, his dad was a pastor. He comes from a privileged background, and his wife's dad was a pastor. So why in the world, how is it that, you know the word of God because your dad's a pastor, you know what's right and you know what's wrong and you know what's good and you know what's evil, but yet you still choose the evil road and then try to justify it saying, oh no, I'm a Christian, but I don't preach to anybody. I don't share my faith with anybody because I just love people. Well, you can love people all day long, but if you're going in with their wickedness, then you become wicked. There's no other way to slice it.
I'm trying to think up this quote, but it's from the Bible. You're supposed to love the Lord and hate evil. It's in Psalms, I believe. I'm mistaken on the right passage, but I mean, that's what it's calling us to do.
And so have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness. Rather, reprove them, which means expose. Expose them. And that's what we're doing right now. We're exposing the unfruitful works of darkness. These people tell you who they are. Make no mistake. Like, I'll give you another, for instance. The band Rush. Very talented musicians. However, that acronym ruled under Satan's hand. Now, if I'm wrong in what I say, how come there's a depiction of the devil on their covers of albums and on Neil Peart's, which he's no longer here, but on his drum kit, the bass drums, was a depiction of the devil with the star, pentagram, right on the kits, ruled under Satan's hand.
And it's so strange that you never see the inverse of this. You never just see random rock bands with Christ or with the Ichthos on their drum kit. There's just never on there.
You'll never see it. And even there are bands in Christianity, Christian music, that are imposters, and they're evil as well. And they know who they are, and we could make a show out of exposing some of them. But think about this: somebody like Kanye West, who goes around telling people he's a Christian. Well, I got a bridge I'll sell you if you believe that. He rewrote a Bible, made his own Bible, and took out every mention of Yahweh and Jesus and put his name in there instead, in place of Yahweh and Yeshua, Jesus the Christ. But he's a Christian, right? He goes in and infiltrates the gospel thing with his garbage rap and makes a ton of money. And he has not changed one bit. He is who he is, and he will tell you who he is, but yet the people are hoodwinked because they're so emotionally invested in it. And I'll give you another example. He's remarried now, and this other woman that he married, and I just saw this story a couple days ago, she was posing naked, and she had on heels and these garters or whatever, and had the cross in electrical tape, I guess, that was across her backside. These are Christians, right? My goodness, I wish I could be such a Christian. Wow. What am I doing wrong? Taylor Swift, these people think that she's a Christian. This individual sings about hellish, devilish, satanic things. She comes out dressed in devil horns. And Katy Perry, same thing. But people are hoodwinked that think that these entertainers are Christian. You can't make it up. And it is dangerous, and it is part of a brainwash. And our time's getting short, but I want to read this real quick from my book, Purge, John.
Please do.
The following information is very interesting. Let me say that the devil is surely in the details. Social engineering and the plan to destroy America goes back to the 1930s. Operation Paperclip was a secret United States intelligence program in which more than 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians were taken from Nazi Germany to the U.S. for government employment. This took place after the end of World War II between 1945 and 1959. Many Nazi scientists were brought over to assist in the space race, but mostly brought over for the mind control and psyops. Werner von Braun was the engineering genius who had developed the world's first ballistic missile for Adolf Hitler during World War II. He had once been a member of Hitler's Schutzstaffel, or SS, but went on to run NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center in Huntsville, Alabama. Now, another interesting thing to note is, I'm trying to remember his name. His name is escaping me right now. But the formation of NASA came from, why can't I think of that individual's name? But he was an open Satanist, Crowley devotee, and he's the one that formed the Jet Propulsion Lab, which became NASA. I'll think of his name in a minute. But he was absolutely satanic to the core and did ritual satanic ceremonies before these so-called launches and everything in the beginning of NASA. So it says they also helped to create the PSYOP programs, which I believe still exist to this day. The Nazis were into black magic, mind control, complete world domination. Psychological operations may be defined broadly as a planned use of communications to influence human attitudes and behavior to create in target groups behavior, emotions, and attitudes that support the attainment of natural objectives. Sound familiar? PSYOPs is simply learning everything about your target enemy, their beliefs, their likes, their dislikes, their strengths, their weaknesses, and vulnerabilities. Once you know what motivates your target, you are ready to begin your psychological operation. It is absolutely true. They follow it to the T in everything, and nobody is the wiser. It is just mind-boggling. And Jack Parsons, that's who it was.
That's it. Thank you. I was trying to think of it too.
Yeah, Jack Parsons was born on October 2nd, 1914. He died on June 17th, 1952. He was an American rocket engineer, chemist, and devoted follower of Aleister Crowley. He was a thelemic occultist. Parsons was associated with the California Institute of Technology and was one of the principal founders of both the Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California and technology that was of the principal founders of Aerojet Engineering Corporation. He invented the first rocket engine to use as a combustible composite rocket propellant and pioneered the advancement of both liquid fuel and solid fuel rockets. Parsons was a brilliant man, but had a very dark side. He was a heavy drug user and was close friends with L. Ron Hubbard, Scientology. Parsons also had an occult partnership with Hubbard, which included sex magic and summoning of spirits. During the rocket test, Parsons would often was reciting Crowley's poem "Hymn to Pan," the sex god, as a good luck charm. There you go.
Man, this stuff's sick and so deep.
It is deep, and it requires a lot of prayer first and then study. And if you want to know the truth, then all you have to do is seek the truth. But you better be ready for some dark paths, and dark information as you're researching the truth, because life as you know it out there, you, the regular, everyday, ordinary person, I have nothing against you, and God bless you, but you're blind. If you can't see the truth, you're being deceived and blinded into following along in a lie. And once you discover the truth, your life will never be the same again.
That's the truth. Well, man, we got to talk about this again. We got to get into some of these more esoteric connections from the 60s, because I feel like, sadly, we just scratched the surface. Good grief, we could talk Jack Parsons for an hour, I feel like.
Yeah, we could roll on this for a long time, John. I want to thank you for having me on again. I truly appreciate it.
Definitely.
And
please
we'll do this. I want to
your...
have you... Yeah, oh, yes. Yeah, I'm glad you reminded me.
I'm sorry.
I want to have you on my Warrior Mode show soon, and we'll talk further about this. So I want to get with you. Let me know what your availability is, and I'd like to have you on the show, and we can continue this discussion there.
Absolutely, sir.
And I am always super busy in helping people from all over the world. I'm thankful to God for working through me to put this calling on me to help people to become free from evil. And whether it is through exorcism, spiritual deliverance, whatever it may be. I deal with a lot of people that are drug addicted and alcoholics and gamblers, whatever it may be. God works through me to help these people, and I'm eternally grateful and thankful to him for it. It is not me. I'm nothing special. It's his power working through me. And in between this, which I'm fully immersed in this on a daily basis, I also make appearances, and I'm going to be making an upcoming appearance next month, July 22nd, in Southbury, Connecticut, at the Defeating the Demonic conference, which Jason McLeod is the host of that event. And I thank Jason for inviting me. Very much looking forward to being a part of that. And the information is, well, you've probably posted the link. So just click on the link. All the information is right there. If you want to come and hear me speak in person, if you want to come and meet me, I will also have some of my books on hand as well. If you want to get a book and have me sign your book, whatever it may be, if you're in spiritual need, come to this event and hear what I have to say, and then you can meet me afterwards, and I'll do anything that I can by the power of God working through me to help you in any way that I can. So looking forward to that. And I'm also going to be appearing with George Norrie on stage at the Lincoln Theater in Columbus, Ohio, on October 14th for a live theater version of Coast to Coast radio. So I'm very much looking forward to that. George Norrie is a good friend of mine, and Tommy Danheiser, the executive producer of Coast to Coast, is also a good friend of mine. And I thank them for the invitation, and I'm very much looking forward to both of those events, John. It'll be great.
That sounds so amazing. That sounds just great, man. It's going to be a fun episode of Coast to Coast, it sounds like.
Anytime that I could go somewhere and meet people, I pray every single time. I pray every day in my life that God will work through me to be a blessing to somebody. Yeah. So that's the most important thing, is I hope and pray, no matter where I go, that I can always plant good seeds with people and do something, somehow, some way to draw them closer to God.
Amen to that, sir. Amen to that. Well, I'll close things up here. If you'll stick around for maybe 30 seconds, I'll say bye to you after we close.
Thank you, my brother.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Well, folks, amazing as always talking to this man. Please check out anomicage.com if you've not already done so. anomicage.com. It's where you can find all things me. Till then, be safe out there. Remember, you can't do everything, but you can do something. And I'll be seeing you sooner than later in the Anomic Age.
Thank you for listening to The Anomic Age, a John Age project. For past shows, further info, and to comment, go to anomicage.com. That's ANOMICAGE.com. Till next time, thank you for listening to The Anomic Age.
Thank you.